Did the President of the United States really try to hold a military alliance hostage just to win a gold medal? August 2019. The news breaks, and half the world thinks it's a joke. Donald Trump, the 45th president, wants to buy Greenland. Not rent a base. Not sign a treaty. He wants to buy the entire island. Late-night hosts had a field day. The memes were everywhere. It sounded like the whimsical impulse of a real estate tycoon who forgot he was leading the free world. We laughed. We moved on. But we missed something. We missed the phone call that happened behind the scenes. According to a shocking new report first highlighted by PBS, this wasn't just about real estate. It was a transaction. And the currency wasn't dollars. It was validation. A specific message was allegedly delivered to Jonas Gahr Støre, the Prime Minister of Norway. The message didn't just suggest a business deal. It implied a threat. It linked the security of NATO, the safety of the Arctic, and the threat of a trade war to one singular, personal obsession of Donald Trump. He didn't just want the island. He wanted the Nobel Peace Prize. And he was willing to break the unspoken rules of global diplomacy to get it. So, how does a conversation about buying an island spiral into a blackmail attempt for the world's most prestigious award? And why does this story, hidden for years, suddenly expose the terrifying reality of how close we came to a diplomatic collapse? To understand that, we have to go back to the moment the joke stopped being funny. But before, subscribe, leave your like, and comment where you are watching from. Let's be fair for a second. The idea of the US buying Greenland isn't actually crazy. Harry Truman tried to do it in 1946. It's strategically perfect. If you control Greenland, you control the gateway to the Arctic. You block Russia. You secure the North Atlantic. From a geopolitical standpoint, it's a masterstroke. But here is where the story shifts. When Truman asked, he did it through diplomatic backchannels. When Trump asked, he reportedly treated it like a hostile takeover of a failing casino. But why did Trump pivot from wanting the island to allegedly threatening a NATO ally? What was happening inside the Oval Office that made this specific deal the hill he was willing to die on? It's mid-2019. Trump is looking for his legacy. He sees the map. He sees a massive chunk of land that is technically owned by Denmark, but geographically sits right next to North America. He starts floating the idea to aides. Look at the minerals, he says. Look at the strategic value. Denmark is a NATO ally. Norway is a NATO ally. These are friends. You don't bully friends. But the report from the Norwegian Prime Minister suggests that the normal rules of friendship had been thrown out the window. Trump wasn't hearing. No. When the Danish Prime Minister called the idea absurd, Trump didn't laugh. He got angry. He canceled a state visit. He called her comments nasty. The media focused on the canceled trip. But they missed the deeper game. See, Trump has a specific view of the world. Everything is transactional. If I protect you, you pay me. If I help you, you praise me. And if you are Norway, the country that hosts the committee that decides the Nobel Peace Prize, you have something he wants desperately. This brings us to the revelation. The Greenland purchase wasn't just about land. It was about a grand achievement. Something so big, so historic, that the Nobel Committee would have to give him the prize. He believed that expanding the United States for the first time in decades would guarantee him the award. And when the Scandinavians didn't play along, the leverage came out. Now we arrive at the smoking gun. The claim made by Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Støre. We know Trump wanted the prize. But did he actually link a military threat to a peace award? How explicit was this conversation? The report states that the message to Støre was clear. Washington was looking at the Greenland situation, and Washington was looking at the Nobel Peace Prize. And somehow, In the communication channels between the White House and Oslo, these two things got tied together. Imagine being the Prime Minister of Norway. You are sitting in your office. You get a message from the most powerful man on earth. The implication is heavy. Help me get this prize. Help me get this land. Or maybe the United States won't be as friendly regarding trade. Or maybe we won't be as committed to NATO defense in the North. This is the definition of a quid pro quo. This for that. But here is the irony. The Norwegian Prime Minister doesn't decide who wins the Nobel Peace Prize. Most people, and apparently Donald Trump, have no idea how the Nobel system works. The Norwegian Parliament appoints the committee, but the Prime Minister has zero say in who wins. The committee is fiercely independent. They are famous for ignoring political pressure. By pressuring the Prime Minister, Trump wasn't just being aggressive. He was shouting at the wrong person. But this reveals the terrifying part of the story. It shows that the President of the United States didn't understand the basic separation of powers in a democracy he was supposed to be allied with. He thought everything, even a sacred prize for peace, was up for negotiation. To understand why Trump would risk a diplomatic crisis for a medal, we have to look at the psychology of the man. Why this prize? He has billions of dollars. He has buildings with his name on them. He became president. Why was the Nobel the one thing that drove him to such extremes? 2009. Barack Obama wins the Nobel Peace Prize less than a year into his presidency. Even Obama was surprised. He hadn't really done anything yet. It was an aspirational prize. Donald Trump never forgot that. For years, Trump mentioned it. He brought it up in rallies. He brought it up in interviews. He felt that if Obama got one for doing nothing, he deserved one for doing everything. He brokered the Abraham Accords in the Middle East. Huge deal. He met with Kim Jong-un in North Korea. Unprecedented. In his mind, he had checked every box. There is a famous clip where Trump complains that the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, Abiy Ahmed, got the prize. Trump said, "I made a deal. I saved a country, and then I hear that the head of that country is now getting the Nobel Peace Prize for saving the country." I said, "What, did I have something to do with it?" He was obsessed. He needed the world to acknowledge that he was better than Obama. The Greenland maneuver was supposed to be the checkmate. It was the Louisiana Purchase of the 21st century. If he pulled it off, he wouldn't just be a president. He would be a conqueror, a mapmaker. The PBS report suggests that in his mind, the Norwegians owed him. He was protecting them from Russia. The least they could do was hand over the medal. It wasn't about peace. It was about validation. And when you treat a peace prize as a receipt for protection services, you aren't promoting peace. You're running a protection racket. This brings us to the final, fatal misunderstanding. Let's say the Norwegian Prime Minister wanted to help Trump. Let's say he caved to the pressure. Could he have actually delivered the prize? The Nobel Committee operates in total secrecy. Their deliberations are sealed for 50 years. They are a group of 5 people. They are usually former politicians, retired academics. They are stubborn. History tells us that when you lobby for a Nobel Prize, you lose. There have been dictators and presidents who tried to campaign for it before. It almost always backfires. The committee views lobbying as distasteful. When Trump's associates reportedly started pushing, and when the pressure regarding Greenland ramped up, it likely had the exact opposite effect. The Norwegians take this prize seriously. It is their gift to the world. The idea that it could be traded for an island or used to stop a trade war is insulting to them. By linking the prize to a threat, Trump reportedly ensured he would never get it. He turned it, maybe, because honestly, the Abraham Accords were a significant achievement, into a hard no. You cannot threaten your way to a peace prize. The very act of the threat disqualifies you. The irony is tragic. If he had just focused on the work, he might have had a chance. But by trying to buy it like a penthouse, he locked himself out of the building. So why does this matter right now? We are living in a world where the old alliances are fragile. The story of the Greenland Purchase and the Nobel Prize isn't just funny trivia. It reveals a dangerous truth about how close we came to breaking the backbone of the West over a bruised ego. When a leader views military alliances not as solemn vows, but as leverage for personal awards, the world becomes a much more dangerous place. Jonas Gahr Store stood his ground. Denmark kept Greenland. The NATO alliance held. But the silence was broken. We now know that in the highest office, the distinction between national interest and personal trophy had completely vanished. Trump didn't get his island. He didn't get his medal. But he gave us a warning. And this wasn't the only time the Nobel Prize has been surrounded by dark political games. In fact, there is one winner who many believe was a war criminal in disguise, a story even crazier than the Greenland Purchase.